It can also happen in the car. I think that's actually the first place I noticed it. I was having, I think it was either me or my wife said to the other, like, I'm having the best conversations with this kid when we're driving
Mm.
because we're not looking at each other, and it creates a little more courage, to say a thing,
That's
or
cool.
even not even, it doesn't even have to be a big thing. It just creates space for the mind to wander and for
Mhm.
for the wonder of whatever silliness to come out.
What is up, my friends? Welcome to Fatherhood Field Notes podcast, where I interview incredible fathers, getting wisdom from their stories for you and I to grow in our own craft. I'm your guide, Ned Shout, father to 5 kiddos, currently ages 13 to 19, and husband to my rad wife, Sarah, working on our 21st year of marriage. So yes, I am in the thick of it, and I am working daily to rebel against the low expectations for fathers, create a world where fathers know who they are as they show up for their families. You and I have the greatest opportunity to impact our world through the way we embrace our fatherhood role. The role of the father is to serve, guide, steward, protect, and of course, find joy and have fun in the messiness of it all. Today's guest is my friend Patton Dodd. What an incredible man. I love my time with him and am eager for you to get to know him. He is a husband, father, leader, author, and salt of the earth. Enjoy meeting my new friend, Patton. All right, Patton, welcome to Fatherhood Field Notes. Looking forward to getting to know you. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for creating the space for us. First question out the gate, how old do you find yourself today?
I think I'm 51, if memory serves.
Okay, how's 51
Yeah.
feel?
So good, actually. It's weird that my age starts with a 5 for sure.
Okay.
But now that a whole year and some change has passed and I'm really into my 50s, I mean, I say this not to brag. I've been injured a lot the last few years. This
Mm,
happens as we get older. But right at this moment, like the last several weeks, I'm feeling better than I have in a long time. My back is good. I'm running further, faster than I have in a while. And so I hope it lasts, because at the moment I'm feeling 51's feeling pretty good.
dude, I love hearing that. So when you stepped into your 40s, so I'm 42, when you stepped into your 40s, I remember feeling like 40 was gonna like, oh my gosh, that's old. And then now I'm 42 and I'm like, dude, I feel like I'm barely getting started in some ways. Like life just seems so exciting and so much cool stuff's going on. And I love my relationship with my kids and my wife, etc. Does it feel the same at 51? Is there anything different that you would say, other than maybe, back pain coming easier or faster than being when you were 42?
It's very different for me. Like
Okay.
I relate to what you're saying. As I hit 40, I thought I was going to feel old, and instead I didn't. I felt young. I felt like new things
Mm,
were there was kind of an sense of arrival. Like, 40 years of wandering and like, where am I and who am
yeah.
I? And you're starting to get secure, I think, in your identity as you get into your 40s. Um, and maybe a little more confident at expressing what that identity is. That certainly was happening for me around that time. And now I would say, a decade plus later, maybe I'm just like, I'm settling in at yet another level. Like I am feeling like I'm in a season of a lot of change right now. Maybe we'll
Mm,
talk about this more later. My life is not stable.
hmm.
A lot of transition is happening. At the same time, internally, I think there is some additional stability beginning to happen. So I 50s are not full of dread for me. Like they're really full of like, maybe I can really more confidently be who I am. So
Mm.
I have a pretty positive outlook about this next stage of life for myself at the moment.
Yeah, this past year I read Richard Rohr's book, Adam's Return. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not,
Mm.
but it's like a man's rite of passage essentially. And one of the things that brought me a ton of hope in it was like most men don't feel like men, or maybe I'm really paraphrasing this, but it's like when you're 55, there you go. Like that's the point. And so in a lot of ways, this maybe lack of confidence that I felt in my 30s around things, now I'm like, cool, I don't have to feel like I have it all figured out at 42. There's still like
Hmm.
the whole idea of becoming, and I'm sure even at 51, 55, 60, there's this continued becoming because that's so much what life is about. But it did give me this sense of like, cool, I didn't need to have this figured out 15 years ago. Um,
Mhm.
when you say unstable, what are the top 2 things that you feel unstable at the moment, but optimistic about?
Well, my wife and I have been married 27 years. That's stable. But our kids are also getting older along with our marriage, and they're leaving. So that's
Hmm.
unstable. We have a kid who in May last year. Well, let me tell you this. In April last year, we moved. We had a big move, within San Antonio, but we moved the home from the home we had been in for 10
It's a
years
long time.
to a very different part of town. Actually, 10 years is the longest I'd ever lived in any home. So that was like
Mhm.
a big deal.
Yeah.
But now we moved into a very different part of town from the suburbs to like the center of San Antonio. And, um, and so that was a big transition. And then a month later, we had one kid graduate from high school and one kid graduate from college.
Sheesh.
My wife also launched into a new career last year. And I had a book come out last fall
Yeah,
that has
baby,
had
I'm
me,
excited to talk about that.
yeah, that has been a big moment for me
Mhm.
personally, and kind of a new story about me in the world, and had me interacting with a lot of new people like
Mhm.
you. And so my job is the same, my marriage is the same. I still have one kid at home, but a lot of other things are different.
Mm.
My son is gone, who's like one of my dearest people in my life. He's
Mm.
now on the other side of the country in Oregon.
Mm.
And then my oldest kid is in the upstate New York. We're like an upside down triangle as a family. Like we live in San Antonio. We have one in upstate New York, one in Portland. Like they're very far from us. And so that's loss, and also just newness, that we're experiencing, learning to be a family of three. Like it's a lot of change. It's all
Mhm.
that is what I mean by unstable.
Mm. So, I love the answer one. I love the just even the like the inflection in your voice from it, because it's like I think sometimes we hear the word unstable and we jump to like, and I know this can happen, but job loss and divorce and death and things, and I'm not saying that those things are like, oh, way harder, but what I love hearing in the instability is it's there was such this, it sounds as though you guys created such an incredible place of being together, that this shakeup is like there's something beautiful that we created, and how life goes is like it's a season, it just shifts. I mean, I got one in college now. My other one is my next one's about to go to college. And then my twins are going to be seniors and then leaving. And then I've got a 13-year-old. So it's like it is definitely this
Yep.
shakeup,
Yep.
of like, who am I? Who are they? Who are we?
Hmm.
What does this look like?
Yep.
Yeah.
And what
So
are our rhythms of like being
yeah,
together?
yeah.
What are
Rhythm's
our
huge.
rhythms of
Yeah.
communication? Like instead of talking every day, multiple times a day in person, it's all phone, text, FaceTime, and irregular.
Yeah.
Like some families might do it different, but with my family and my kids, it's irregular and unpredictable,
Hmm.
and sometimes more distance than I want.
Hmm.
And and then when we all come back together, like we just did over the holidays, thank God, like it was great. But the reentry takes some time. Like
Hmm.
now we've been a family of three for a few months, and now there's five of us again, and we're on top of each other, and it takes a little bit for that to be okay. And then and then you get used to that for about a month,
Yeah, and then they're
and then they leave.
gone.
So I don't know, man. It's just like there's a churn of transition
Yeah.
in our lives right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So married 27 years. What's the secret? What's you made it over this 25-year hump, which is like, dude, kudos, bro. Not everybody gets to say that. So thank you. What a gift to the world and to your kids. And what would you say is like one of the components that has really led to this being true about your marriage?
One of my kids asked me this recently on a walk that we were on, and I was like, I don't know if I have an answer for this question, but what I told her was, you have to constantly make room for each other
Mm.
to change. We were young. We were 23 and 24 when we got married. Sounds like you
Hmm.
were pretty young too when you got started. And we were not who we were going to be. I told
Hmm.
my daughter I thought I was marrying a woman who was like super into like indie film, and like complicated novels, which is where I was in my early 20s. And she doesn't care. She's like, she didn't care about this stuff at all. We did it while we were dating, but
Yeah.
we have very different tastes and things. And like, that's a minor point. But like, the truth is, if you're growing, you're changing, and you both
Mm,
keep changing. And sometimes in ways you might rather not your partner change,
of course.
but you keep making room.
Mm,
And, you know, imperfectly with lots of messes along the way, but I think we've kept making room for each other.
what a good answer. And I love that your daughter asked you that on a walk. How sweet, right? I mean, even the fact that she's thinking about it, and then that you're someone she could ask. I mean, that's huge. Dads, that's a reason right there to be fighting for your marriage, is so that when you're on a walk with your daughter when she's young 20s, she's, maybe she's still chat GPT or Googling marriage, but there's some sort of foundational human being in her life, and for it to be the father is incredible. So love it. What are the ages of your kids?
22, 19, and just turned 16 this week.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Love it. And then where do you guys do life? You said Houston area. You in
San Antonio.
oh, San Antonio. Okay, so San Antonio do life, and then what do you do? I love and hate this question, but what do you do to provide value out in the world and feed the family?
I'm the executive director of communications and storytelling, which is a mouthful of a title for a foundation here in Texas called the H.E. Buck Foundation. And it's a unique foundation in the sense that it's an operating foundation. Most foundations, people think of grant making. We do operating, so we build our own programs and staff them and run them. And it's a kind of an array of programming that we do, 8 or 9 programs, camping and retreat programs in the hill country of Texas, then some urban kind of community facing community engagement work here in San Antonio. I oversee communications for all those things. And then I also run one of them, which is a storytelling program called Know Your Neighbor, which is a program where we use stories, media, and in person storytelling events to help people understand and grapple with the reality of poverty and economic segregation
Hmm.
in San Antonio. San Antonio has a massive, one of the highest poverty rates in the country, really
Wow.
extreme degrees of like the wealth gap here is huge. And so we try to bring people into conversation and awareness and relationship with those issues. So
Hmm.
that's what I get to do.
Love it. How long you been working with them?
10 years. We moved here for this work.
Cool.
We were in Maryland and Colorado before that, and Boston before that, and had kind of lived all over. But yeah, we. I was a journalist for several years, and kind of an academic before that, and kind of came into contact with this organization maybe 12 years ago, and then ended up landing here. Kind of fell in love with the place and its people, and then had an opportunity to consult. And then they asked me, would I consider working here? And I was like, well, I'm never going to live in Texas, so maybe, but like, um, but here I am now. Like, I love this place. I love this complicated state, warts and all, and I really love my city.
Hmm.
So we're really fortunate to have come here.
Mm, beautiful. Yeah, I was on the website checking it out, and it seems like you guys do really cool stuff. I was like, where is this? Like this river and this lake and this swimming and these bridges.
Yeah,
This looks like a place I'd like to just like go
it's
get
rad.
lost for a little
Yeah,
bit. Very
yeah.
cool.
You should come. Everyone should come. The Deity Lodge is the name of a retreat center that we operate in the hill country of Texas. And that's, anyone can sign up for a retreat through Laity Lodge. They do incredible stuff. That's how I got involved, as I came out there and got to know it and spoke there one time.
Cool.
And one thing led to another. But it's rad. And when you're at Laity Lodge in the hill country, you don't think you're in Texas. It is a wondrous, kind of lush
Hmm.
place, even though it's also the desert. It's really remarkable. So come check it out.
Love it. Love it. Okay, so if people wanted to learn more about that, what would they look up?
Well, the work we do in San Antonio, Know Your Neighbor, you just go to
Okay,
knowyourneighbor.com,
cool.
and Laity Lodge, Laity Lodge, you can check that out, their website, laitylodge.org.
Cool. Love it. Okay, so you wrote a book on fatherhood, and I have lots of other questions just about life and your life and family and whatnot, but I want to start here. Um, looking through your Instagram, looking at your reels, the moment you opened the box and the book was there, and like I just saw it all over your face. It's like hours and hours of thought and writing and wrestling and tweaking and thinking. And yes, it's so much to give so much of yourself, your story, your life to something. What was that moment for you when you opened up that box and you pulled out this like piece of your soul essentially that was now captured forever? What was that moment like for you?
Gosh, man, you did some digging. That's a great question. It was surreal, first of
Mm,
all, because this book is like no one will really know. You just kind of guessed at it, but no one will really know just how much work it was to produce this thing. It's a
mm,
pretty small book. I wrote a ton and I cut it down, trying to create something that people could read in 2 or 3 sittings.
mhm.
I kind of wanted it to be something you could get through quickly. But in my hard drive is a book that's like 8 times longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
so, and so even though it's tiny and reads quickly, it took me, almost 4 years to do the writing. I mean, I have, as I mentioned earlier, a job that I love and a big job. And so squeezing in the time to write and work on this. Also, it was I mean, I kind of hesitate to use flowery language, but it was the excavation of my soul, like
Mhm,
for sure. Like I knew that I needed to write about my dad eventually. I
mhm,
kind of felt beckoned into it for many, many years, and I avoided it for a long time. And when I finally set out to do it, I realized that I knew almost nothing about him. And so the first dilemma was, how do I write about someone I don't know?
mm,
How do I write about this mess of a man who was my dad, who none of us know anything about? My mom didn't really know him. My sister, the people that I didn't know who knew him didn't want to talk to me about him. Like he was a problem, and he was
mm,
also a void. And so it just took work to even get the goods on him. I eventually went and reported on him and went to the South and drove around for about a week and met people and talked to them and you know, got some got some information on him. But even that just took forever. And then I turned to the other parts of myself and my story. And I don't know, each one of them just had some pain involved with them. Each section that I needed to write about kind of began with pain. And so I also just ran from the process a long time. Like I would put off writing for weeks and months at a time. So yeah, man, that moment of it like being in my hands was really just like, I felt like I had run 10 marathons, and now I'm at the finish line. And everyone knows I must be tired, but no one can quite tell how tired I am
yeah.
because of what I just went through.
Mm. In what ways, and to every man has a different degree of wrestling feeling about their own father and then like the father they're gonna be, right? Like there's a lot to this. But in what ways when you have this piece of art in life that you've made is like it's like in some of it you buried some old and maybe like
Hmm.
forgiveness and acceptance and whatever, and so there's like a lot of joy in it. So I guess the question is, when you hold it now, how does it make you feel? Is it bringing you back to pain, or is it bringing you back to is it more healing, right? Is it like this is a reminder of the healing I did?
The latter for sure. I don't feel a lot of pain around these
Mhm,
things anymore. The book is divided into 4 parts. My dad, my father figures, my wrestling with God the Father, which is
mhm,
also about my mom and losing my mom,
mhm,
and then becoming a father. All 4 of those stories are, as I said before, were a source of pain and just weight.
mhm,
And I feel lighter about all those stories now. And I didn't write it for that reason. I didn't know I would feel this way coming out of it. But I mean, I'm looking at the book over here on my shelf now, and like I don't have any anxiety about it. I don't really have many feelings about it. I mean, I enjoy talking about it, but I don't know. It feels like a gift that I found the time to do it, that I could give to myself and to my family, and
mhm,
also a gift that I can give to you
mhm,
because I do think there is like value in it for people to see
Yeah.
someone else's story of father issues and have an encounter with it. And so I'm just grateful that it exists, man.
Yeah.
I feel really good about it.
Yeah. When you looked at it, you did light up. So it like lighter, bro, like your smile, your eyes, everything. So that's
Yeah.
really cool. So, um, h in what ways did your kids perceive this? Like, have any of them read it yet?
Yeah. Um, so boy, that's a big story. I, they all feel good about it. I think they're all glad that I did it. I think
Hmm.
they know that I became better in doing it.
Hmm.
And so I think it's a good thing. But they had, especially my oldest kid, she had very complicated feelings about me doing it. Didn't want me to do it. I think when I was like, I'm going to write a book about fatherhood, about being a dad. She assumes, okay, you're going to be writing about our crap, but you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
going to
yeah.
be like, how am I going to be a character in this book?
Mm.
And she pushed back on it, kind of resented it actually for a while. And she
Hmm.
has since this summer, she came up from college and she read it. It had been out for no, it wasn't quite out yet. She read an early version of it, and and she about her first week she was home. She kind of it was kind of sitting around the house, and I knew she was reading it. And like I said, there's a long story here. We had many, not many, but several important, complicated conversations about it. So now Belle is reading it, and then one day I get like this, note from her, reflecting on it to me and saying, "I'm so glad that you did this book, and
Hmm.
I see now why you were doing it. It's
Uh-huh.
not what I thought it was." And and so it has opened up conversation between us that has been really wonderful. I made each of my kids either read or listen to me read any passages that had their name in them
Wow.
before I published it
Wow.
because I was like, you may not want to read it, but you at least have to like you need to have a say in this. And if you
Mhm.
don't like the story I'm telling, you just don't want it at all, or you want me to phrase it differently, you just need a chance to give me feedback. And so they all had at least heard that stuff before it went out.
And did anybody say, like, "Don't tell this story or adjust this"? Was there any of that?
Um, I didn't really get any notes. I was very careful. I mean, I wrote
I'm
stuff that
sure.
they
Yeah.
haven't seen. You
Right,
know what I
right,
mean?
right.
Like, I by the time I was ready to share it, I think it was pretty safe and honoring of them.
Mhm. Yeah.
They did give me some corrections. No, that's what I said in that moment, or it wasn't. We weren't there. We were here.
Mm.
Kind of your memory is faulty. But that kind of stuff. But no hard feelings, really. And I don't I ultimately decided not to tell that many family stories about my
Right,
own kids. Like,
right.
it's more about me as a dad than it is about them.
Yeah, of course. I think that just that trust building with them, though, to go just to say, "Hey, I'm gonna give you
Mhm.
this opportunity to speak into it," is just speaks volumes and just lets them know how much they're respected and valued more than like dad needs to get this book out, right? And so
Yeah,
what a
yeah.
cool opportunity to create connection with them. Little side note for you, my dad had brain surgery when I was in 7th grade, and he ended up writing his master thesis after, and it was all on finding himself, and it was wild because he was 39 when I was in 7th grade, and he went through this brain surgery and like I mean when he came home after the brain surgery he didn't remember his house. He didn't remember, I mean he remembered my
Wow.
brother and I and my mom, but he didn't, I mean he had to relearn, and he was a journaler, so luckily he had a bunch of journals to read. Long story short, he gave me a copy of it to read when I was about 39, 40, and it was incredibly insightful and helpful and soul moving and important. It's almost like I don't know the words to say, but I think for your kids too, it's like we have this desire to know who we are and who our father is. I mean, just
Mhm.
like you went on this week-long journey to kind of uncover some things. It's funny. It's like, why does this matter? But it's something
Right.
deep within us
Totally.
that really
Yeah.
matters. Um, so with that, did you have a response before I ask a question?
No.
Okay.
No, I agree. Yeah.
When when you were on your week-long journey discovering some things about your dad, what was something that you discovered that just really humanized him or gave you empathy or compassion for him, whether it was in the book or not?
Yeah. Um, it's mostly in the book. I mean,
Okay.
I, um, I, like I said before, I didn't know much about him. I knew that he was a drunk, and I knew that he had been a drunk most of his life. Like since he was a kid, I knew that his
Mhm.
drinking went way, way back, and I just didn't know what was the thing that drove him to be the way he was. And he was other bad things, not just a drunk. And so, but like he wouldn't talk about himself. Like I said, my parents got married very quickly. My mom was 19. She had only known him a few weeks. She kind
Wow.
of got trapped in this marriage, and the rest of her life went by. 40 years went by before she finally left him. And but even she would say, I don't know much about him. And so, um, I went to Mississippi and Florida and Alabama and Tennessee with just all the anger that I had always had and the hurt and the frustration. My dad died in 2007, so he had been gone a while by the time I undertook this journey. Um, and I think, in some ways that my sister and I had moved on, but in some ways it had just some days it had gotten worse because what do you do with the hurt and the anger if there's no one to put it on,
Right.
and there's not even a memory of someone to put it on because he was such a void. And so, part of what I learned about him um, was that, to make a long story short, he had been, and this is kind of like obvious, but I just didn't have the details on it, but he had been abused
Hmm.
as a kid for years and years and years. And it was a kind of a family secret that no one wanted to tell, and I finally got to that secret. And it almost immediately, the next day, I woke up after this conversation that I had had with his sister, and I had a long drive ahead of me. And I remember being behind the wheel of this car driving from Jackson, Tennessee to Jackson, Mississippi, and realizing that I was feeling like in my chest for for this little 6-year-old boy
Mhm.
who had been abused in in the 1940s. Um, I had also earlier on that trip met one of my dad's old drinking buddies, and I had
Mhm.
heard stories that had given me fresh anger for him. And so I had spent part of the trip feeling newly mad
Mhm.
at
Yeah.
things my dad did when I was a kid that I was learning about. And then a couple of days later, I had a deeper
Yeah.
backstory that made me feel for him because you meet you meet a guy like this in your life, a guy who is in his cups all the time, and a guy who can't hold a job down, and you talk to him and you learn about their backstory and you think, no wonder you are the way you are. Of course you're drinking or doing drugs or womanizing
Right.
or whatever you're doing. How could you be else otherwise? That happens with like relative strangers really easily. And now it was happening in a way, with my own dad.
Mhm.
Not simple, I didn't just convert all the way to compassion. It's
Yeah,
still complicated.
for sure.
But knowing that he had been harmed in the ways he had been harmed for as long as he had been harmed, definitely, yeah, humanized him, made him a child to me, in a
Mhm.
way that he never had been before, made me feel tender towards him.
Hmm. Tender's a good word. But then there's this wrestle too, um, for dads listening as well, is like, we also look at these dads and go like, "But you could have done it differently. You
Totally,
could have figured your
totally.
stuff out." And it's not that, any of us are making excuses or justifying, but like, your lawnmower story of your dad really berating you, and dads, I bring, we don't have to get into it if you don't want, but dads listening right now is like, our words are so flipping powerful with our children that can shape a lifetime. And it's like, we need to get through our stuff, whether it's going back in the past like Patton did and go like kind of uncover the things and start to do some healing. You might be, I see, tell me your opinion. I think some dads are just like, it's okay. I don't mind being angry. I don't mind my life. It's fine. I can do this.
Mm,
I don't mind carrying all this burden, but I want my kids to have a better life. But the only way, not the only way, but a really important opportunity you have is if you can deal with, work with, heal what it does to set up your kids for their emotional stability throughout life is like just setting them up for a success where like you have to do the work. So, I mean, I think
Mhm.
your book is a great start, right? Like if somebody's really wrestling, feeling alone, like I've got these stories and nobody understands, it's like, no, people have been through things. Like this is a great book to start with, to start on your own
Mhm.
healing journey so that you can get that anger and frustration and stuff out of yourself so that you can show up for your kids and
Mhm.
set them up for some foundation.
Well,
What
and the thing that like I come to as I learned my dad's story more deeply, the thing that, and I wrote it out, I where I landed as I reflect on his life, the thing that I wish was different
Mm,
is I used to always wish that he had stopped drinking or that he had stopped cheating and doing drugs and the different things he had done, that he had known how to like, keep money in the bank instead
mhm,
of like pissing it all away. All that stuff is no longer what I wish was different.
mm,
Now, what I really wish for him is that he could have talked to someone about who
mhm,
he was, that he could have talked to his wife or to a pastor or to a counselor, a friend. Like,
mhm,
my father had zero people at his funeral because he had no one in his life beyond his immediate family. Not even his sister and like cousins. None of them were able to come either. Like he was really alone. He
mm,
never took a chance on
mm,
talking about himself with anyone. And yes, different time, different generation, different ideas about this kind of thing. But I think like the dads you were just talking to, I think who are holding these things inside, that is dangerous and
very.
it's doing damage that you're not seeing.
Mhm,
And whatever else you are, like, I just think taking a chance on, basically being courageous enough to know your own story and share it with somebody, take a
mhm,
chance on somebody to share that with. I think it can unlock all kinds of things. And I think it would have for for my father and
for
his
sure.
family.
For sure, right? It's like the things that we hold in the dark, they just grow and fester. It's like it's scary, courageous, like you said, to bring it out into the light. But once you do, I mean, that's like the beautiful thing of your book is taking these things that you could have carried and kind of been angry and frustrated and just done it a little bit better, but you didn't want that. You wanted to unlock a lot more depth of vulnerable relationship with those around you. But I think it's helpful for men to see like, oh, dude, I'm not alone, and that's so much of what
Yeah.
sharing is to not feel alone because everybody's life is messy. Everybody's.
Yeah.
It's messy.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of opportunity for reconciliation and restoration and that struggle and that mess is like kind of the beauty of life.
100%. Yes. I mean, it's also the kind of thing that like, well, I was about to say it gets easier once you start trying to do it. That's actually not true. It stays hard because I just had a conversation recently where I realized I was holding a kind of secret that I was afraid to share. And I kind of got myself in a situation where I had to share it. And it was really hard. Like it actually doesn't get easier. So I'm not going to lie. But you do learn that it's okay. Like
Mhm,
once you start to do it, you learn
mhm.
that you're not going to go into a death spiral
Yeah,
afterwards
you're
and
still
you will
here
experience.
and
Yeah.
yeah. That's good and I think that's even important to go like at 50 there'll be something, at 60 there'll be something, at 70
Heck
like
yeah.
it's
100%.
always going to be here and if we can have grace for others then
Yeah.
then they'll have grace for us. Okay, what's the role of the father? So as you have been on your journey of discovery, being able to put pen to paper and take 100,000 words and bring it down, you really had to refine. When you think about the role of the father, what's the role of the father?
I have come to believe it's really just about presence. Like that's the one word that I sit with a lot that I remind myself of. And presence doesn't just mean physical presence. It
Mhm,
means mental, emotional, spiritual presence, attention. Um, like I have had a lot of days where I'm doing good dad stuff in the sense of like leaving the house and breadwinning and, maintaining my job, coming home at the end of the day, but never really getting home because I'm completely
mm,
preoccupied with work, or I'd rather be on my phone or in a book or working out or whatever. And that's not it. Like especially once your kids get older, I mean, you know this. You come home to humans that want to interact with you. Like,
mhm.
hopefully, they want to interact
If
with
you're
you. They want
playing
to
the
tell you
game
about
right, yep.
yeah, they want to tell you your day about their days. They have problems that they need you to solve, and you're exhausted. you can't do it. And I've had plenty of nights where I just either want to check out or do check out. And we do this in a variety of ways. We do it with distraction, we do it with booze, or we do it with our phones or other relationships or whatever. And so presence is, again, more than just like physically showing up. It's like full attentive choosing that what this person who I am responsible to needs from me in this moment, um, is something I'm going to choose to give even when I don't want to. And there are also times when presence I think means like chasing someone down a little bit, especially
Hmm.
like with teenagers, because they're going to start creating some separation, and that's okay.
Hmm.
But they might be at times creating too much separation, and then you have to keep going and offering presence and offering
Hmm.
yourself to them, whether they want it or not, and doing it in a way that is right for them. I mean, it's delicate and nuanced.
Hmm.
I think to me, there's a lot to this word presence and what it looks like and how you express it and offer it and keep giving it faithfully. But to me, that's the bottom line
Hmm.
for what fatherhood is.
Hmm. Love it. A couple words I want to lean in on with you. Um, Usually we say I'm responsible for you, right? So like my son, my daughters, I'm responsible for you. You said responsible to. What do you mean by responsible to versus responsible for?
Yeah. I mean, you're not just their provider. You're not just like legally obligated to them or contractually. You are um, responding to them, meaning you're paying attention to them.
Hmm.
You're observing.
Hmm.
You're not assuming you know who they are or how they're doing. You're asking.
Hmm.
You're trying to draw them out, which is not always easy. We all get withdrawn, even from the people that we love the most. At times, we want to hide, and so I think that's what I mean. You are, um, yeah, curious about them,
Hmm.
and trying to lean in with your eyes and your heart and your words and your presence and your body, whatever. Like you're trying to figure out who this human is. Um, they're always something different than what you think they're going to be or what you might
Hmm.
want them to be, but getting to know them on the regular, as they
Hmm.
change and grow, and adjusting how you respond to them accordingly.
Hmm. Man, I could just like tap into any one of those things. So what are you, some kind of storyteller or something? You're pretty good with words. Um, okay, yeah, the responsible to incredible. Observing, I love that. That's something that I've really been leaning into lately is observing. I love the not assuming who they are, but understanding. And I think the other word that you use that I just really, we use presence currently, we use presence a lot. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's a word we
yeah,
use. But, I think it's easy to check off on the list, for a dad to say, like, "I'm present. I was home.
yeah.
I got home at
Right,
5." Like, "I got home at 5. What else do you want from me?" I think it's
right.
easy for us to, as men, to, like, do the right thing outwardly so nobody has anything on us, but am I really leaning in? Am I really observing? Am I attentive? And I love that word, so attention. Does my family have my attention? Because I can be
Hmm.
present and have zero clue of who this person is, not understand. So I love attention, I love observe, and then the other one that you said, which I think is really an important role of father. So I'm going to tell you, and then you give me a response on this. You said draw them out because I think as a father, sometimes it's not that we want you to be who I want you to be. You kind of made mention of that. I'm like, I'm not trying to make you another version of me or another version of your mom or whatever, but I also have an opportunity to help you see the great parts of you, right? Because if you got a 13-year-old daughter, she sees that she doesn't like her nose
Yep,
or this or that or whatever.
yep.
But as a father, you have the ability to draw out and help them see their character, their beauty, their identity. So tell me anything else you're thinking about the draw out component of a father's role.
I learned something about one of my kids recently that I didn't know, and and she offered it. Like she came to my wife and I
Mm,
and wanted to talk with us, and she told us something about herself, and it was new and it was different. It was a wrinkle in her life that we had no idea about. An aspect of her kind of psychology and way of thinking about herself that was important. It required her to be paying attention to herself in order to be able to even know it. Um, and this was about 2 months ago now, and I just keep being grateful that that conversation happened because it means that she knew she could, that um, there was kind of space, that we would be receptive,
Hmm.
that it would be okay for her to tell us what she told us. And it wasn't a big, like, a huge identity shift. It was just, it was a subtlety, but a really important one, and the one that we needed to, again, respond to. And I don't know exactly what we did to draw that out of her, except
Hmm.
for hopefully over time, creating a context where she knew she could do that safely, and do it well. So it's something similar happened last summer with my oldest kid. We had a great dinner table conversation. Actually, that might be one of the main settings of drawing out. Maybe two of them. One is on a trail when you're just walking,
Hmm.
looking forward, not having to look at each other. That's a great time for some truth telling because people get brave when they don't have to look at you.
Interesting.
Um, and
Hang
then
on. Let's just,
secondly,
that is
okay,
so huge. We don't need to unpack it, but I don't want guys to miss that.
yeah,
If you want to build relationship with your kid, like nobody likes hiking, but if you're hiking, I'm kidding. No teenager wants to go hiking, but if you're hiking and you're looking forward, I never considered that it's like we're not eye to eye. That
yeah,
and when you just shut your mouth, dads, long enough,
yep,
your kid starts talking.
that's
And
right.
so dude, huge nugget. Go ahead.
It can also happen in the car. I think that's actually the first place I noticed it. I was
Mm,
having, I think it was either me or my wife said to the other, like, I'm having the best conversations with this kid when we're driving
mm,
because we're not looking at each other,
mm,
and it creates a little more courage, to say a thing,
that's
or
cool.
even not even, it doesn't even have to be a big thing. It just creates space for the mind to wander and for
Mhm.
the wonder of whatever silliness to come out. So, and then the other place though is the dinner table,
Yeah,
and we had a dinner table conversation. We try to do a lot of lingering, not always well. I mean, we have TV nights too,
of
but like
course.
we have tried to have a dinner table culture, not just to have meals, but to have conversation that, like, where no one wants to leave. That's
Mm,
when I know we've, like, the nights that go well are the nights when, like, I'm ready to get up before everyone else is, because if they're just wanting to linger and hang out and talk, I don't care how bad I have to pee. Like, I will stay at that
mm,
table if people want to talk. And this summer, we had this great conversation where one of our kids told us some things that they think, and it was on really dicey issues relating to politics and religion. And they said some things that were like, next level interesting. And at the end of the conversation, she goes, I don't think I would tell any of my friends what I just said because they
wow.
would shame me for it. And I was like, oh, you can do that here? Like, I feel weird telling this story, but
Mm,
honestly, it's like one of my proudest moments as a father is realizing that our table is safer for her. You
dude, are you
know,
kidding me?
Uh,
That's like
it
the
was wild.
biggest win. The biggest
Yeah.
win.
I
Yeah,
was very glad for it.
interesting. Okay, so as a father, right, we're all going to have our different levels of like what matters to us, but I feel like as men sometimes we have our list is a little too long of what matters to us. But right there, your kid felt safe enough to share things that their friends, it's usually the other way around for sure. So to what
Hmm.
level do you
Correct.
think ah, you let your kid wrestle through it, right? Because it's like they're gonna come. Like my daughter said, we were all sitting in the jacuzzi last night, and one of my daughters said something like, "Oh man, I don't know." But I held my tongue and I was like, you know what? I think that'll probably just work itself out with her. Like that's where she's at
Yeah.
today.
Sure.
And it's almost sometimes I think if I
Yeah.
would have said something, I would have just locked her in more to her belief on it.
Yep.
Versus she said it, we were like, oh, all right. And then the conversation kept going. Like like teenagers, we're all I mean, I'm rebellious, right?
To-
So like, I might
totally.
stick in my heels in if you say something. So to what level does it like? Okay, we really need to step in here and get you back on track. I mean, it's probably a lot less than we think.
I don't do that much.
Yeah,
I
yeah, it's probably
I I
less. Yeah.
f- I feel like I'm not very risk adverse, sometimes to a fault, but like I feel like we've extended a lot of trust
Hmm.
to, whether it's to God, to time and space, to things working out, to other influences in these people's lives, that are also additive over time. Because yeah, my kids have said and done and believed all kinds of things that I wanted to correct and jump on. But
Mhm.
like you, I think I had this instinct that if I, and I've done it, I've
Of
certainly like
course. Yeah, I've messed up
been the
plenty of
corrective
times.
dad. Yeah, sure. But I think I've also tried to, yeah, just trust it's going to be okay. I mean, a lot of this comes from my wife. My wife is very good at letting things play out. And so she's not super reactive. So she's pulled the reins on me or caught me afterwards and been like, next time you need to pull back, like it's gonna be okay. Um, and so sitting in that discomfort of like uncertain outcomes with your kids, I think is part of the trick here.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's so good. To what level do you think that you're clearly a vulnerable human being, and like this whole process of putting your book out in the world was vulnerable, and you share it with your kids and stuff? To what level do you think that that is one of the primary reasons that you've had some of these moments where your kids, at the dinner table, I told you something I wouldn't tell my friends. My daughter is feeling something she wants to share. We're the people she comes and shares it with. Um, I don't know that all men share their lives with their kids to the extent they could, but I would like to encourage it. Do you think that that has created a lot of space for your kids to feel like, sheesh, my dad's a working mess or whatever, so they have felt safe to
Yeah.
come and talk to you?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's true. I think that I've always been fairly vulnerable. And I mean, certainly I've hidden things and not disclosed everything, but I think that's
There's a
kind of a
time and place.
norm.
Yeah.
Sure. I
Yeah.
think that has been kind of a norm in our home. But I think it's even more like a social aspect. Like
Hmm.
my oldest kid, if she was in this conversation, she would tell you, well, really, I mean, my parents always did this. Like dinner tables a big deal to us, having lots of people over the years. And not all kids want to do this, and not all, even all of my kids. But she was a kid who wanted to be at the table when the adults were
Mm.
talking. And so she grew up hearing rich, open, vulnerable conversation about selves and about ideas. And so I think I mean, without intending to really, I just think I love conversation.
Hmm.
I love, talking about stuff like this. And so I think it has just kind of been a norm in our home. My mom was a truth teller as much
Mm.
as she was like the polar opposite of my dad. So I get this from her. My sister's the same way. They'll just say stuff, and so I think it taught me to do the same.
Cool. Well, I have a few more questions, but as this conversation has been so wonderful already, if men were listening, men are listening right now. You and I are connecting, sharing our lives. It, Before I jump into some of my just kind of last few questions, is there anything that you would want to share, or a story, or anything that's been kind of in your heart or mind that we wouldn't want to miss? Um, that you'd want to share with dads listening, either a story or something that's critically important to you and your beliefs around fatherhood, or something you'd want to share with them before I jump into a couple last things.
I mean, I'm going to say something that is obvious, but I'm going to say it anyway because it was said to me many times, and I needed the reminder many times in my own kind of fatherhood journey, which was like find ways to make time to with your kids,
Hmm.
like adventure trips, coffees, these walks in the neighborhood. Like I don't know. Sometimes you have to summon up an enormous amount of energy,
Hmm.
and you have to beat back a bunch of exhaustion or fatigue or any kind of reluctance you might have to do this thing. But if you create that space, if you like mark it on the calendar and you know what's going to happen, I tell this story in my book. Actually, I didn't put this in my book. I wrote a story that this is one of the things that got cut. I had a whole chapter called the father son camping trip. And it's a story about how when I think I was 12, my dad and I planned a father son camping trip, and it was written on the calendar that way, father son camping trip with like a circle around it. It was like in May something of this year. I can remember seeing it on the kitchen calendar, and we planned it like 2 months out. And that weekend came and went without him ever mentioning it again. And and it's heartbreaking to me, even now, many, many years later, to think about how he just didn't care enough to see it through. And that's a sign and symbol of what my whole relationship with him was like. He was preoccupied with so many other things, but never really with his own family. And so, like once the like calendaring those things, he took step one. It's really important to calendar them,
Hmm.
but then see it through. And I've had at times to kick and scream within myself to see through my own camping trips or
Hmm.
weekend dates, bike rides, whatever, coffee conversations, because there's always other stuff to do. Sometimes it seems more interesting, but if you protect that space and then enter into it, you get so much in return.
Man, thank you for sharing that story. Um, wow. You said we're all going to be preoccupied with things. And then you also may because we wake up, we do life, right? Like there's just like things in front of us. And then you made the comment, sometimes there'll be other things that seem more interesting. And I think the challenge I would give fathers is like if you look at how you spent your life the last week, month, year, was it really that all those things that took up the time were really that much more interesting than a father-son camp trip or playing catch with your daughters or
Yeah.
whatever? Is it really? Or are you telling yourself like, I'm a father and I'm leaning so heavy into the protect and provide? Like I heard you talk about it is like, and I love this imagery of like the patriarch at the top of the pyramid, like really flipping that pyramid upside down. And
Uh-huh.
it's like, I'm on the bottom serving those above me. But I think sometimes we get caught up thinking that going to work is the best way we can serve. And like, dads, it's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to kind of happen a bit on autopilot. Like, be good at what you do, be a craftsman, whatever. But like, if at the end of my life, I'm a craftsman about anything, I would love for them to say, my dad was so good at being a dad, giving us presence and
Yeah.
attention, over my
Yep.
dad was the best insurance salesman in all the land.
Yeah.
It's like, come on,
Yeah.
really? So I guess I just challenge this, like, I challenge it, but I do think that there does have to be self-talk because I do think some of our default mode is work. Like last night, 2 examples. Same thing at the dinner table. I wanted to get up, but 3 of my daughters and my wife were sitting there and they were having a great conversation about so much. And I just was like, it was been about 40 minutes. I was just kind of ready. And then I was like, I self-talked for about maybe another 10 minutes and then I got up. And then as soon as I came back, they were all dispersed. There was the movement
Mhm.
was gone. It was over. And it's
Yeah.
not like it was missed, but it was over once I
Sure.
left. And then my daughter was talking to me. We played football outside last night and she talked to me and it was like 20 minutes. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm ready to do this or that. But I kept having to bring myself back like, buddy, there's nothing more important than this. There's nothing more
Yeah.
important than her
That's
wanting to
right.
share her. It was funny. She was sharing all her political views on things. I'm like, all right, let's go, dude. You're 16. Let's go. Tell me all about it. So I just want to challenge the men listening. What are you preoccupying yourself with? Your garage doesn't need to be that clean. Your lawn doesn't need to be that good looking. You can cancel that one meeting. I just challenge you because it's such a short season. And we're hearing Patton talk about it. Like he used really aggressive language of being unstable. And it's about just his kids not being in the house the same
That's
way they
right.
were,
That's right.
it's not like yeah. I mean, it's still a lot, but I just mean that what an honor for you to even feel that. Like dads, if you got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds right now, I want you to feel like your life is being turned upside down when they're moving out because you have such
Y
depth of
Yeah.
like culture in your home. Like what a
Yeah.
gift.
Yep. It's the right pain. It's a good pain. You want it. You wanna feel it.
We are all going to experience pain. What's the pain that we want? Right? The right pain. I love that. That's really good. Um okay, we've heard so much about just incredible things, but I love asking this question. So this is fatherhood field notes, sharing your life, but the mantra is rebel and create. Like as men, we are rebellious, we're warriors, whatever. Uh, but I don't want to just go be destructive. I want to build something beautiful in this space. So what's something that you're rebelling against, and what do you hope to create out of that? Um, could be small. I'm rebelling against phones at the dinner table, or I'm rebelling against whatever, something on a different scale. What lands for you?
I mean, I'm gonna say something personal
Okay.
because I'm rebelling against my own insecurity.
Hmm.
I have this is part of what this book was for me.
Hmm.
It was me trying to deal with the fact that my insecurity has been a plague on my life for my whole life. And I have always felt very small, very intellectually small and creatively small.
Hmm.
And it doesn't matter what I did, what accomplishments I had. I could get a PhD or get published in the Wall Street Journal or whatever. None of that made me feel like I was overcoming this basic insecurity that stuck with me every day. And I'm really sick of it, and I'm
Hmm.
really contending with it now. I kind of like this language you're using because I do need to rebel against it. It's wrong. I'm
Hmm.
giving it my middle finger. I'm
Yeah,
trying to just
I love it.
move on,
Yeah.
move on from it all the time because it lies to me about what I can do and who I am and what I'm capable of. It comes up for me in meetings at work. I'll just like not say a thing, you know, because I feel small, and instead I'm trying to say the thing. Yeah, this book was the same thing. I could have not done it, and I did it. I have insecurity in my relationships with my kids. I'm talking like a great dad on this podcast. The truth is, I've been very insecure inside of these relationships at times, and I'm pushing back on that so that I can love them better. So that's the thing that I'm rebelling against.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I think it's helpful for us all to hear. And then I think if we had, 1,000 people on a live stream right now, everybody would say our experience of you is that you are a wise, strong, loving husband, father, and that the fruit and the results of the stories you shared tell a different story of the truth, right? So I love, like, give that lying sack the middle finger and go like, yeah, those are lies that I will experience and I'll feel, and they're gonna keep coming, but the amount of time I spend with that liar is gonna get shorter and shorter.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that's why it's important, right, for conversations like this, because it's like I need men to tell me that too, right? Because like I have lack of confidence in my marriage at times, and then like my son right now, I'm homeschooling him, and it is rough. It is rough. I
yeah.
like, I'm questioning, am I doing this well? And is he happy with
Yeah,
me? And it's like,
yeah.
it's like, it's funny, but that's why we need each other. So I experience you as just, just such a wonderful human doing incredible things. I thank you for the work you did on your book, not just for yourself, but for us and every dude listening right now. I don't care where you are, what you're doing. I know you have Amazon on your phone. I know it'll take you 30 seconds. Click buy now. But I need you to do two things. I need you to go buy Patton's book, The Father You Get. The day that shows up in your mailbox, I need you to go write a review. There is nothing harder than getting people to buy the book and then write a review. And here's the
True.
thing, this man just showed up on this podcast, not expecting, anything. He's giving us his time. He spent 100 hours minimum, probably more, hundreds of hours on his book to help us stand on like fatherhood matters, right? Mothers have been carrying the torch for too long. It's time that fathers stand up and take responsibility, but we have to honor those who are doing it. And so writing a review is going to take you 2 minutes, and it's going to help spread the word. And you know what? I encourage you, buy 2 books, keep one for yourself and give one away. So I hope you do that. If not, you suck and you don't care about fatherhood. Um, I'm just kidding. I'm passionate about it, man. You did a lot. You did a
Thank
lot
you.
for our
Thank you.
community as fathers, and it's super, super important, dude. You are changing your family lineage by the work that you've done. Like 1,000 years from now, the work that Patton did, it has impact on all the future of your family, and it matters. And that's the kind of generational thinking that I want us all leaning into. We have a lot of important work to do right now as men around masculinity and family, and making sure that
Hmm.
families exist 1,000 years from now. So what you're doing matters, man. I greatly appreciate you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the work you do. Um, any last thoughts? What's your website? Where can people find you?
I have a Substack. You can just look up Patton Dodd at Substack, and pattondodd.com if you want to know anything else or get in touch.
Okay, my friend, massive blessings. Thank you for your time. I look forward to just continuing to be in touch with you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
All right. What an incredible conversation. I so enjoyed it. It just flowed so well. What I'm walking away with personally, what I'm taking away is this word attentive. Like, am I being attentive to those that have been placed in my care, my children? Am I cultivating a relationship with them? Because I'm not just in the room, I'm paying attention to them. Beautiful, well said. I mean, Patton just had a way with words. I loved it. Thank you to all you dads out there listening to Fatherhood Field Notes Podcast. What you do matters. Don't be like everybody else. Be yourself. That's who your kids, your spouse, and your community needs. This is your guide, Ned Shout. Together, let's rebel against the view that fatherhood has little impact, and let's create lives engaged in mastering the craft of fatherhood. I look forward to hanging out with you next time.